just how it all came together. Okay.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Hope that everyone had a wonderful DAY. Today, my very special guest is Mrs. Myra Stepeter. And Myra Stepter is the chief smile producer and founder of Myra J Stepeter Enterprises LLC. And it's Empowered Smiles Coaching and Creative Smiles Design Services. And she is an intuitive mindset strategist along with a spiritual life coach and speaker. She's also an author and a multi-bizpreneur that focuses on helping multi-passionate business owners and creatives reach their goals in life and in business by looking inward, looking inward to overcome mindset pitfalls, realign spiritually, gain clarity, and build unstoppable confidence. Now, Myra is known for her big hugs and big smile and her focus on self-care, being spiritually gifted, and the unique way that she intuitively knows when to bring big energy or calm strength to any atmosphere. Prior to starting her coaching business, Myra spent almost 2 decades in corporate sales and sales management, corporate training and motivational speaking, and as a ministry leader. Myra offers a number of programs, a number of services and products, including individual individualized group coaching seminars, keynote speeches, and self-paced coaching. Myra, wow, you are awesome.
Oh, thank
You're
you.
like bring it, like, hey, I am here and let's do this.
And let's do this. And let's do this.
Yes, let's do this. Tell us
Yeah.
about yourself, Myra.
It's so funny because anytime I hear the bio, it's like, especially like if you do speaking engagements, you're kind of like listening, going, hmm, who's that? Have I done all of those things? Oh my goodness. But, a little about me, I genuinely want to see people win.
Hmm.
That has always been my thing, even as a kid. I've just always loved to cheer people on and see them win. And
Hmm.
so, moving into coaching and doing other things, it's really just about, thinking differently. I tell people a lot of times when I began coaching, I began as an empowerment coach and then moved into business coaching. And even
Hmm.
as a business coach, I always just wanted to see people win and think differently about how they won. And so then when I moved over and I said, let me really think about, do I really want to do all the funnels and all the stuff, or do I want to send that to somebody else? And I can just walk them through how they're thinking on this journey. And that's where the mindset coaching came from. It was like, because that's what I've always done. I've always focused on mindset. So why not just focus on mindset?
Listen, let me tell you something. Mindset is an essential part of personal growth, spiritual growth, and emotional growth. And in the Bible, it says, as a man thinketh, so is he, or so is
Yes,
she. And
exactly.
we really have to like shift the way that we see things and see people and see ourselves and see what possibilities and like with God all things is possible. How long have you been in business?
I've been in business 9 years now. Oh my goodness.
Awesome.
Right.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my goodness. Every time every year I kind of sit back and go, wow, I get to do what I love doing. That,
Hmm.
and I think about all the jobs that I've had over time, and a lot of
Hmm.
them I didn't enjoy. So the fact that
Hmm.
I get to do something that I enjoy is amazing. Amazing.
Okay, and you're also an author. What books
Hmm.
have you written?
So I've done Stepping Out of the Fog was my journey. And I, of course, don't have one sitting right here. They're over on the
Mm-hmm.
bookshelf. I'll have to grab one. But Stepping Out of the Fog, it's actually on Amazon and on the website. But it was literally my journey through depression, and kind of some of the mindset things, some of the thought processes that I went through. Because when I went through it, I did not quite understand what depression was.
Mm-hmm.
At that time we weren't really talking about mental health like we are now. And
Mm-hmm.
even now there's still a bit of a stigma, but at that point it was kind of like, no, we just pray about it and keep moving. Well, I was a worship leader, I was
Mm-hmm.
in ministry,
Mm-hmm.
and I would give everything that I had, and I'm going home driving, crying, and depleted because I'm
Oh.
not realizing that I told myself I needed to give of myself. I needed to give people what they thought I needed, what I thought they needed, or what they expected from me. They expected happy, and they expected the hugs and the praying over and all of that. And then of course, as you've probably experienced in church, that training of don't look like what you've been through, don't look like what you're going through. And if you're a ministry in ministry leadership, then
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to come in and you don't let them see you having any issues. You
Or
have to
going
be
through anything. And
right,
that I couldn't understand that. I could
crazy,
not
right,
understand that.
right. And so I had, I'd been, I tell people I'd been in ministry leadership since I was 15 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've heard those things over life that, put on a good face and all that kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so those things were very depleting. Those things were very they kind of, if you really stick to some of the don't let people know that you need help kind of thing because of your position and
Mm-hmm.
the not being transparent of it all,
Mm-hmm.
that's very isolating. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, it's
Mm-hmm.
very depleting. it's
Mm-hmm.
it's you're actually pouring from an empty vessel
Mm-hmm.
because you're not getting everything that you're supposed to, that you need to receive. It's almost like, being a teapot and sitting it back on the fire empty. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was dying on the vine. And so I literally had to write that book. And when I set out to write the book, I wasn't going to tell the story that I told. But God had a different answer for me. And I was sitting the whole time when I procrastinated on that book for so long, and then finally when I had a book signing that I was supposed to be a part of in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was like, I guess I have to finish the book so I have a book, huh? Because I'm going out of town, and you gotta have a book.
You gotta have a book in order
You
for
gotta
them to
have a
sign
book,
it.
like, right. And so I finished the book, and when I was writing, when everything was starting to pour out of me, because I finally surrendered to let me finish writing this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
some of the stories and some of the things that I had to put in the book, I was like, can we talk about this? Because I don't want to say this. I don't want to tell people this. And I just kept hearing responsible transparency, responsible transparency. So there were some things that when I put it in, when people came back to me after reading and they said, oh my goodness, I would have never imagined that you'd gone through any of those things. And
Mm-hmm.
that helped them, even family members. They were like, that helps me because you seem like you've never been through anything. I would
Mm-hmm.
never
Mm-hmm.
know. And they're like, and this is so much like my story and so much like what I've dealt with. Maybe not the exact circumstances, but I felt that way that you described in the book. And I was like, oh my, okay. And so that was really the kind of the catalyst for that. The whole time I kept thinking, people need to understand what depression is, and
Mm-hmm.
their family
Mm-hmm.
members need to understand that when XYZ is happening, it's probably not because the person is lazy or because they're having an attitude. Something is probably actually wrong if their personality completely changes. And so even, even my close relatives were like, we didn't know that that's what that was. We didn't know what to call it. We didn't know. So I wrote that book, Stepping Out of the Fog, for that. And then I've done several journals since then that I've created. And we haven't even put it out yet. My goddaughter, niece, and I are putting out a book of affirmations and prayers for little kids. And so we just completed that book. And so that'll be out. Butterfly Blessings is what it's called. And so we're going to put that out actually in the next couple weeks as well. So we've got a lot of stuff brewing.
Oh my gosh. Listen, when you were saying that you written the book on the depression, a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think that, oh my God, like, now as a spiritual in you was experienced that in the church. And I remember when I was part of ministry, and they expect you as the leader not to, like, not to be going through stuff or
Right.
not to have issues or anything like that. And I'm saying to myself, like, okay, then how are we as God's children supposed to grow and teach others unless we're human beings too?
Unless you're honest.
You have to be open, you have to be honest, you have to be transparent,
Right.
and listen, and you genuinely have to care about the people that you're ministering to. So now, as a life coach, you're also you do like a spirituality based
Mhm.
on what it says here in your biography. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I work with people because, well, let me backtrack. I have been Christian my whole life, my whole little old life, since a little old kid, right? Um, and I've been curious my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I tell people starting at around 5 years old, because my birthday is at the end of the year and the cutoff and all that stuff. And those are that's the narrative, right? Because of my birthday and the blah, 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 blah. Really, it was divine orchestration for me to become who I am and help people the way that I help.
Mm-hmm.
But it started then where little Baptist Myra had to go to Catholic school.
Ooh.
Right. Right. Do you see the twist to the side there?
Ah!
Okay. Little Baptist Myra had to go to Catholic school.
How was that?
And so I had questions. I was always
Mm-hmm.
inquisitive anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
that made me really have questions because in Catholic school, you have to go to religion class and you
Mm-hmm.
go to mass, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I would go home. I have questions. In Sunbeams, this is what we did, but in school, this is what we did. Who's
Mm-hmm.
right? Right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I was blessed to have parents that didn't shut me down, didn't tell me,
Nice.
don't think about that and blah, blah. And no, they would answer questions. And if they didn't know, they would say, hey, we're going to have to ask about that. And then at the time, I had a pastor that when little 5, 6, 7 year old Myra was like, I have a question, he would let me come sit in his office and ask my little question and have a
Mm-hmm.
real conversation with me and not just
Mm-hmm.
go, oh, well, you're a little kid, so I'm just going to tell you some craziness and then move on. No. And then
Mm-hmm.
as I got older, like I said, I was in ministry leadership most of my teens and older because I did a lot of community work. Um, During that time, instead of, because again, I'm always inquisitive, instead of
Mm-hmm.
people just telling me that I have to do, I have to, well, they did say, you have to go disciple, you have to go do this, you have to, tell people this. And I always had questions, well, what if they like their way?
Mm-hmm.
What if their way works for them? And
Mm-hmm.
well, no, 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 you have to tell them your way is better. But what if they like their way? They're my friends. And if they're my friends and they like their way, I don't want to, change their way if it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that made me start going and exploring other religions and asking questions and going on interfaith tours where I got to talk to spiritual leaders and people that were not a part of any religion at all and just learn. Because ultimately, I've always believed, listen, I cannot believe that God is so limiting that he didn't create other ways to get to him.
Girl.
I can't believe that, right? And so then as different spiritual gifts and things started rearing their beautiful head within me, I was blessed to be able to connect with people of other beliefs, whether
Mm-hmm.
religious or just simply fully spiritual, and have conversations to understand that everything is so much more expansive than
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what we've been kind of pigeonholed into. And so since then, with my life coaching, I've actually been able to have conversations and walk people through the expansion of what
Mm-hmm.
their beliefs are. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've run into a lot of folks that were like, well, I've seen you with these people and these people and these people. And I'm like, look, what we can't do is ever bash anybody for their beliefs. I don't allow that around me. They're
Mm-hmm.
allowed to believe what their path says that they're allowed to believe. And if they want to explore more, then hey, let's walk through it. Let's explore more. Let's see what fits for you, where you can find your additional connection and go from there. But it's mainly about creating a safe space for them
Mm-hmm.
to be in while they're trying to expand and giving them the ability to be empowered in that expansion. And it's really just mainly about being connected to God, how you need to be connected to God, and just kind of
Mm-hmm.
holding space for them in that process.
And I think that that is an amazing thing. And I think your approach and towards spiritual growth is one to be respected, because God lives and dwells within inside of each and every single person. And just like children learn differently and people learn differently,
Right,
God will meet you anywhere at, like, it's called faith. Faith.
right,
Faith, faith,
right.
faith, faith, faith. And I sit down, and it is the thing that grounds us in our
Yeah,
and strengthens us. I think even with this pandemic, like, okay, he didn't just shut down the Christians and the Muslims and
right,
look, the Baptists and the
right,
non-believers. This pandemic hit
uh,
the entire planet, and I
right,
sit down and I'm saying to myself, okay, God, you have my undivided attention. Like, and I say to myself, okay, he wants us to stay connected to him.
right,
Now he does.
right.
And when it comes to building your business, you have to hand that over to God too. You have to invite God
Yes.
into the business and into the
Whew.
people. God, send me who it is that you want me to train. Send me where it is that you want me to, like, who do you want me to speak
Who do you
to?
want me to work with?
Who do
I
you want me to
had
work with?
I had a
Yes.
conversation with a client for the design services. It was so crazy. Her project was taking us much longer than it should have. And it was the craziest thing. And one day I was sitting and I was doing my prayer and meditation time, and I said, okay, what is going on with this project? What is happening? And there was at that point a very simple issue that was not resolving itself within the project. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense that this isn't working, that we can't fix it. What is the problem? And I was in there, and like I said, I was sitting in the middle of the bed and praying, and then I just paused for a second. I said, okay, I'm going to stop talking. What's going on? And it was like you and I talking. And the message that came to me was, you stopped communicating with me about this project. And I was like, huh.
Ooh.
And it's a faith-based project as well.
Mm-hmm.
And God was like, you both stopped talking to me about this project. you were never going to be able to finish it until you came back to talk to me about this project. What? And so, because in the very beginning, and this is something that I do with all of my clients, no matter whether it's coaching or any, anything, I'm always praying for their success. I'm always praying about whatever it is that they're working on, if it's a business thing or if it's just general life coaching. I'm always, in a spiritual mode when it comes to what's going on with them. And because there were so many other things happening within the time of this program, and I didn't have my normal post-its up that, are specifically about, certain things that I'm praying for, I wasn't praying about this project. And when I told my client that, she said, okay, so we're both guilty. And I said, you telling me you ain't been praying about your project either? And she was like, I haven't been. And I said, so we're just in here trying to work on this just foul.
Look, in your own strength.
And that's never going to work. That's never going, because again, when she came, she was brought to me in a very divinely orchestrated way. And she was looking to do a completely different thing than what we ended up doing. But it was because when she came to me, I had a very distinct message that said that wasn't the thing. Send her back, give her things to do a brain dump in a journal project on, and then have her come back to you to create what it is that. And so when she came back and she was like, I have this thing that I started like 5 years ago, but I don't know. I was like, that's the thing. Ding, ding, ding. And so I'm like, if God gave us this project for you to do, why have we not been talking to God about your project? And she was
That
like, I don't, she was like, that is so convicting. I was like, well, it should, I said, it's really designed, I believe, to be a reminder. Don't get the message and then walk away. Like you got to stay in it for the full guidance up until everything is fully manifested, until it's fully realized. Otherwise, you're only going to get a little piece of it and never be able to walk fully into the full flow or full success or full greatness of whatever the message was that you received. And so I was like, I know better, but I needed that reminder.
And it's not only that. We as human beings, we're very impatient,
Mm-hmm.
and we do not like to take time to do the complete process. We'll feel
Yes.
like, okay, then let me just do part of it. And they
Yeah.
get to that point where it's like, okay, then, did you just skip step A, B, C, D, and you want to jump to Z?
Right.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You didn't learn anything.
We want to go to the celebration instead of going through the full through journey. We're like, can I just hop on? Remember back in the day, they had the Concorde jet that would just, zip back and forth, right? And then when
To
the car,
England.
and people could get from America to Europe in like, just a couple hours because nobody wanted to actually fly the 20 hours or whatever it took. That's essentially what we like to do now. We're like, no, no, no. I want to get there in 5 minutes. I want to get to destiny in 5 minutes. I saw the vision. I wrote the vision. We're all really good about that. I write the vision, make it plain. I wrote the vision. I made it plain. I want to see it tomorrow. Ta-da. And it's like, no, you have to become the person that's supposed to be in that vision. You're not that person. You're the person that saw it. You're not the person that's living it. So you've got to go through some things. And I believe that a lot of times the work that I end up doing with clients is let me hold your hand so that it doesn't feel so scary while you're walking this journey. Because usually we're ready to turn around or just stop the process altogether when we feel like we have to do it by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And and people can say, oh, but you have God with you, or there are times where you actually need a physical person that you can hear or see so that you know that you're not crazy, right? You're not just hearing voices in your head. You need that person that's going to be like, I'm here and I have you and we're okay. And I know it's scary and I know you feel like you're wigging out a little bit, but let's just take a few more steps and then we'll
Mm,
pause again,
mm,
but
mm.
otherwise you're walking and looking around like, okay, I think I'm a little crazy right now. I'm sure I'm a little crazy right now.
That is why it is called a support system. A lot of
Yes.
people are trying to understand, what does a life coach do? What is the meaning of a life coach? And we are actually here to support you
Yes.
along the journey. Like, because sometimes people need someone that is non-judgmental,
Oh
and
boy.
because if sometimes God gives people a dream or a vision, and then you may
Mhm.
tell it to someone and they're looking at you like, really, like, yeah,
Like what?
like like
Okay,
what?
no.
and then and then it comes to the point where, okay, if nobody believes in you and what it is that you're doing, do it anyway, start anyway, because you're stepping out in faith and God will send someone alongside you, you understand, to help support you and guide you along the way. But a lot of people think that, okay, then if I share my dream or vision, or if I dream too big, or if I think, when God told me to do this podcast, I was still in school getting my certification. I was still active in my church. And when God dropped the online podcast and broadcasting, the
Hmm.
pandemic hadn't hit the United States yet. I don't even think it landed in China as yet. And I
Yeah.
mentioned it to someone, and they looked at me like, God told you what? And
Right.
from that day on, I say, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything
Yeah.
else regarding what God put in my heart. I'm just going to do what God told me to do and to be
Hmm.
obedient. So I didn't say anything else about it. And I just kept studying, working during the day, building the business at night. And when I started the podcast, I didn't know anything, didn't know who to invite, what to do, or
Right.
even build a business. So what I ended up doing was, everything that I needed, I would put a post.
Hmm.
I needed information. Once I got the information, then I needed implementation, because when I was going to school, they just, okay, this is what you do, but guess what?
Right.
They don't tell you.
Not how to build. Yeah.
Come on. So
Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, what do I need? And God would just do a download.
Hmm. Yes.
he,
Yes.
he would do a download, and I'd be like, this is what I need. This is what I want to do. And then with the 12 days of Christmas thing, I started it in October, the podcast in October. It's been 1 year
Mhm.
now. And last year, he just told me, talk to people every single day. I'm like, what? What am I? Look, I'm afraid of the camera. I have no experience. And I'm saying to myself, what am I going to say? Like, who am I going to speak to? And it's been 1 year now. And when I did this, now it's going to be an annual event. And for every day for the month of December, I spoke to, like, what, 30 different people?
Wow.
30 different people every single day until New Year's. Now, this is the second December, and for the first 1 week, I've had
Mhm.
26 people sign up. The podcast is in 44 states, 22 countries. They're listening on all 7 continents within 1 year.
That is awesome.
Look, and then
That is
when I
awesome.
started, listen, that's God's glory, but I
Yeah.
have to be like, okay, then this is what I have to do for now. And
Mhm.
then I'm like, okay, then I started coaching, and then I started the online coaching. And sometimes when God puts something into your heart and you tell it to someone, they'll try to talk you out of that
Right.
vision or that
Right.
dream.
Right.
And when I was going for life coaching in they were like, a life coach, what are you going to do? Now, I would tell
Yeah.
certain people, but as I was coaching my parent, not my parents, my patients, and then like helping my coworkers and praying with them and just sharing my story with them, that was how I ended up as a life coach and a transformational life coach. But to God's glory, I was illiterate at the age of 38. So I had to
Wow.
overcome that. I had to overcome 25 years of addiction. So I had to overcome that. And it took me, I've been clean now like 17 years. And I
Wow.
have no shame attached to me at all
Yes.
regarding anything. And I'm sitting here, and this is how God is using me to help others. Like, God has a plan for every single person,
Yes.
and we have to make a decision. And when you made that decision, when He ordered your steps and He put the right people to give you a reference letter, and then why are you doing this? And do you know how many people you're helping? Like helping them build their business, because as you build the business, in order for the business to grow and
You have to
expand,
help others. Right.
not only help others, but you have to grow and expand.
Exactly.
And a lot of
Exactly.
people, I'm like, people look at people and they're looking at their successes. Do you know that people that are successful, if you talk to them, they all have either a spiritual coach, a life coach, a performance
Mm-hmm.
coach. When I was looking at at Motown and how the Supremes, when they first started, and then they had a lady to teach them to do elocution, act as if
Yes.
you're just going to sing and present before the queen, and all of these things.
Yes.
And it is to build you up, you understand, to strengthen your
Yes.
character. And
Yes.
eventually, she ended up singing before the queen, Donna
Right.
Ross and the Supremes. And
Right.
Motown just blew up. Why? Because they changed the way that they were thinking.
Yes.
And like England, rock and roll, Mick Jagger, Bon Jovi, all of these people and entertainers in rock and roll were influenced by who? Motown.
Right.
But it starts with here, and then
It starts with how you think.
it starts here in the heart, because now it takes courage to learn new things. It takes courage
Right.
to change, and it takes courage to try different things and seek out the fullness.
Right.
And I'm saying to myself, wow, you understand, we think like this, but God is thinking like,
God thinks bigger. And it just takes, just like you were saying about your journey, you just said yes and then
mhm,
implement it and said yes
mhm.
again and implement it and said yes one more time and implement it. And people think that it has to be some huge like jump off the side of a cliff leap. And I tell, well, not even used to, I still tell clients this all the time. I said, one foot in front of the other is a mini leap.
Mhm.
One foot in front of the other is a mini leap. So every time you pick up that one foot and put it out, you've taken a little leap. And then when you take the next foot and put it out, it's a little leap. It's just it takes the mini leaps of faith to get to the big leap of faith. Because if you were gonna jump off that cliff to go to the other side, you've got to move one foot in front of the other to build up momentum to even make that big jump. So you got to start with the little ones. And like you said, you did little things to
Just
get
little
to a
baby step, baby
oh
step,
baby.
baby step, baby step. Took
And
my
you changed
time.
this in your mind because where most people stopped last year at the same time that you started, they
Mm-hmm.
said, "Oh, well, I don't know anything about podcasting. I don't know anything about life coaching. Well, you know what? My life has been XYZ, so I probably shouldn't tell other people how to live their lives." And they stopped. There are people,
Mm-hmm.
I know people that went through not those little weekend warrior certifications, but the full year certifications and
Mm-hmm.
still stop as
And
life
that is
coaches.
the thing. That is the thing. When God gives you something or a dream or a vision, a lot of people, when I had to learn to read and write and do basic arithmetic, it took me a while. It took me
Hmm.
a while, but I had already made the decision
Yeah.
in my mind that I was going to change. And when I guess I can say I was delivered, I didn't go to a rehab. I didn't go to check into an institution. I made
Hmm.
that decision, and
Hmm.
then I got with who? Me.
Yeah.
Spent time
Within.
with my family. I took time, look, spent time with my family, spent time taking care of my sisters and the kids and everything. And I got a chance to get away from the negativity. And
Hmm.
once I got away from the negativity, my mind was clear. Then
Yeah.
I stopped asking people what they think and just did what I felt like I wanted to
Right.
do.
Because guess what? At the end of the day, when all
Yes,
the people are telling you, "Oh, Jennifer, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this," or "Jennifer, I don't believe that you should do this. I don't think you're qualified for this." And if you believe them, then
girl.
and it's on both sides. I say I started saying this to myself when I was going through my own little, negative thinking and all that. And I said, you know
Hmm.
what? When people tell you bad things, it's
Hmm.
not real until you believe
Hmm.
it. But on the converse,
Exactly.
when people tell you good things, it's not real until you believe it. So people
Hmm.
can tell you, "Oh, Jennifer, you're so great. You're so wonderful." But if you don't believe it, then you're not going to flow in that. And so
I
it's
had
the
to
same.
learn self love. I had to
Yeah.
learn self love. It took a long
And
time
it does, and it's
because,
a thing that you have to go back to repeatedly to say, you know what, I'm not practicing self love. And it's so crazy that because of the programming, we now have to practice self love to create the habit of self love. When we got
mhm,
here already loving on ourselves, we were,
mhm,
think about babies. When you look at a baby, they're exploring their feet and their hands, and when they see the
mhm,
baby in the mirror, they're like, "Ooh, I love that baby." And then
mhm.
we get programmed, "Oh, stop looking at yourself so much."
Let me tell you something. Listen, self love, self awareness, self respect, self compassion. You understand? Self control. I had to learn these things. When I
Yeah.
say I had to learn these things, and even through the fear and through the uncertainty, and then as a same resistance coach, I had to learn these things like, okay, I set my face like flint. I was reading this book by Dr. Joyce Myers, and she
Hmm.
was saying that the battlefield is in the
In the
mind.
mind.
The
Yeah.
battlefield is in the mind. And
Yeah.
she had the saying of set your face like flint. If you have to do it afraid, do it
Yes.
anyway. Knees wobbling,
Yes.
like, okay, I'm not perfect, but I'm gonna take that baby step, and I'm gonna take that baby step, and I'm gonna
Yes.
take that baby step. And then you take a baby step. It's like you see like newborn children when they're birthed, they crawl first. Do you
Hmm.
ever see when they start crawling, they crawling with their
On their
head?
head. Right. 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 You're
And
totally
you
right.
sitting there and you be like, look at my
Like,
baby.
somebody get the baby. Somebody get, look, like the people. Somebody get that baby. Go get that baby.
Listen, okay. And then they start walking,
Hmm.
and then
And they fall.
They toddling. You
Yeah,
understand trial and error. This is how life is. And
yeah.
then they become toddlers, and then it's like, oh my God, I can't keep up with them.
Right. They're
And
taken away. And you're like, somebody get that. Look, it goes from the baby crawling on their head, somebody get that baby, to, hey, somebody get that baby. Because the baby is gone, right? Like, somebody get the baby. Oh my goodness. But that's literally our lives. That's literally our
Mhm,
lives. We're crawling on our heads and stumbling and all of that and scooching and everything. And then we get to the point where after we do this for a while, we get our footing and we maybe have to hold on to the sofa a little bit, the
mhm,
light sofa and kind of toddle, like you said. And then finally it's like do 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 do. We're ready and ready to go. But
mhm.
that's where there has to be enough people that are willing to be transparent
Yes.
and say, hey, guess what? And I used to say this in church all the time because when I was a teenager, we always had these adults that were so pious and perfect. And these were the people that I never did anything wrong. And you're like, but I know about your life. Like I've heard stories. I know people that grew up with you. Like, what are you talking about? And so I always was the person who's like, hey, I don't ever want to be that adult that acts as if I never did anything wrong, because that is a very difficult thing to try to live up to as you're getting
Mhm,
older. Because, and I tell people, I'm like, this is why a lot of folks are attempting suicide as young children,
mhm,
because they're
mhm.
looking going, I mean, I messed up just because it's Tuesday and I need to try to be perfect like the adults around me. And it's like, but the adults aren't perfect, pumpkin. And so when I was, mentoring teenagers and all that, and I would always tell
Self-forgiveness.
them, yeah, I would always,
Self-forgiveness.
yes, I
Yes.
would tell them, I'm like, listen, the adults are not perfect. The adults have gone through all the things that you're going through. They've felt all the things that you're feeling. Do not allow them to make you think that what you're feeling is some kind of foreign thing.
Mhm,
It's fake. What they're faking it for whatever reason, but you don't have to. And a friend of mine that mentors and coaches teams, we were having a conversation a few years back, and I said to her, I said, you know what? What you're doing is so very important,
mhm,
because if we stop breaking the kids, then I don't have to co-create the fix when they get older.
mhm, mhm,
And
mhm,
she was like, huh. I said, yeah. I said, we're literally from the time that we're teaching them how to be, you
mhm,
know, I said, we're
mhm.
breaking them. We're breaking in, and some I've actually heard people say that, oh, I've got to break them. They've got too much attitude. I got to break her. And I'm like, stop it.
But why is that? Because do you know that when your spirit is broken, when the spirit is broken, that is a different kind of wound?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
And think about with what we know now, with what you
mm,
and I know as coaches,
mm,
when the spirit, like you said, when the spirit is broken, that is a different kind of trauma that
mm,
permeates through everything.
mm,
And so then that same person is scrambling, trying to find their footing, forget
mm,
finding themselves. They're just trying to be able to just be.
mm,
And
mm.
so those people, a lot of times, are not the ones that ever find a coach.
Ain't that something?
They're not the ones that ever find a therapist or a counselor.
Mm,
I did a few years back have someone that literally had been through a number of traumas as a child and as a young adult, and I was like, okay, how about this? We've got to get you a therapist to go along with your coaching, because if
mm,
we don't, you're not gonna make it. And she was like, no,
mm.
no, no, but you're the therapist. Oh, no, 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 no. I'm the
It's two
coach.
different things. It's two
I'm the
different
coach.
things. There
I said,
is two
so
different things.
yeah, I was like, I said, I'm going to coach you and hold your hand on the move forward, but I
Mm-hmm.
need you to go over here and find a therapist, counselor, psychiatrist, whomever you choose, so that it makes it easier for us to walk forward. You got to dig into the back end so we can walk forward. And she was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like, I had a coach tell me that she could do all of it. I said, please don't go to her.
No, 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 no.
I
Don't
was
go to her.
like, please don't go to her. Please don't go.
No, there are some things, and I think this is where some coaches, when a coach, and I tell my clients this all the time, I am not a licensed therapist.
Right.
That is something totally different. If you
Oh,
have something that a serious mental illness, I will definitely recommend you to a therapist, and then I would
right.
speak to your therapist to find out if me and the therapist can work together. You
Right.
understand? To coach, because there, when a therapist deals with a lot of the past issues and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and me as a life coach, I am dealing with the present, I'm dealing with the now to move you into the forward. I'll touch on a little bit of the past
Right.
issues to get to the root. You understand? To get to the root, where did you
Right.
hear this from? Who told you this? Who are you listening to? And I'm
Right.
saying to myself, like, okay, then how is your mindset when it comes towards looking at yourself? What is your mindset when it comes towards your finances and being creative and finding out that all things are possible and to overcome fear and anxiety? And as a
Yeah.
phlebotomist, I realized that, listen, I worked as a lab tech for what, almost 15 years.
Oh,
And I
wow.
know, listen, I noticed things with the children and the parents.
Oh,
If
yeah.
listen, here I come with the needle. Listen, now, if the parent is calm,
Yeah.
not anxious, you understand, and that they're holding the baby or they're holding the child, that child will be calm.
Right.
If
Right.
the parent is okay, I'm scared for her, but I'll hold
Right.
it anyway.
You're like, please go away. No, go away. Away. Go away.
Listen, that child, listen, the kid will pick up the
Yeah.
energy.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
said,
Yes.
they would get that energy. And I'm saying to myself, and if you're forcing them,
Right.
then there's a fear of like, oh my God, you're holding me down or
Right.
something like that. You understand? So,
Yeah.
so I say to myself, like, okay, now it's like anything in life, sit down, breathe.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. Breathing is so important.
Then when you get a little anxious and you don't know what to do and things is like, I'm like, okay, just stop. Look, stop.
Just stop.
And
Just stop and breathe. Yes. Just pause.
mhm,
Just
mhm,
pause. I do that at the beginning of I do breath work at the beginning of all coaching sessions
mhm,
because I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know what just happened prior to you jumping on this call with me.
mhm,
And if you're jumping on this call with me and you just fussed at your husband and your wife, or you just, kicked the dog and told your kids, everybody shut up, I'm getting out of my couch. Like, I don't know what happened 2 seconds before you jumped on this video call with me, right? So
mhm,
when we jump on this video call together and we're about to go through a coaching experience,
mhm,
we're gonna breathe first. We're
mhm.
gonna because what I
You need to
noticed,
be on the same.
the same level, the same
Mhm,
frequency. And
Not
and
only
I
the same level, but the same energy level.
yeah, the same
You
frequency. Yeah,
understand? The same
yeah.
frequency. Yes,
And
correct.
and I tell people, because I'm very, 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 very empathic, then I like, they'll, if somebody's jumping on with some funky energy, I'm feeling it, and I'm like, no, 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 we're not doing this. No, what's wrong? What's going on with you? And that's also why, even in coaching, like even from the very beginning, back when it was Skype,
Mm-hmm.
I would do video coaching. People would go, "Oh, but can we just do it on the phone?" No, 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 because I have to look at you. I have to see your eyes, because you could tell me anything.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good at picking up tones and all that, but I also want to look at the person, because I get different cues off of,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so funny, because usually, if as soon as the camera comes on and I can look in your eyes, oh, okay, we're about to breathe. What? I didn't do anything. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm. Yeah, just So you immediately became defensive. Nope. We're not gonna. No, we're not getting started until we breathe. And then
Mm-hmm.
and usually, yeah, I know it's the craziest thing. But I remember one of my clients that she just had a very hectic, chaotic kind of life. Her day she would just be like sliding into first, trying to get on her calls, because everything would be going on. And it would be so funny, because she'd get on and she'd go, I know, we're gonna breathe. And I was like, of course. I said it, and I told her, I said, it's not punishment. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, it's calming you down. I was like, do
Mm-hmm.
you have a glass of water? No, I
Mm-hmm.
really jumped out of my car and came. I said, go get your water. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting here. Go get
Mm-hmm.
your water. Bring it back. We'll start breathing then. And then, I'm just like, no, this has got to be an experience that allows us to get everything that we need, whatever
Mm-hmm.
whatever that means, and so that it's always those are always the funny things for me, when people are like, I know, we gotta breathe. I'm like, yes, we gotta breathe.
Breathe, breathe, breathe. We have
Yeah.
3 more minutes. We have 3 more minutes.
Okay.
If they wanted to get into contact with you, how would they connect with you?
On all social media, I am Myra J Stepeter. They
Mhm.
can go to myrajstepeter.com. They can, those are the easiest ways to find me. But I always tell people, I keep it all Myra J Stepeter, because if you know my name, then you can get me.
And where can they get your book?
The book, they can actually go to myrajstepeter.com. They can get the book and the journals there, but also they can go on amazon.com as well. So yeah, make sure everything is available in all the different places for people to get them.
You really do have such a beautiful smile. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
thank you.
Thank
Uh,
you. Thank you.
it's God's gift to me.
Let me tell you something. We have to learn to love ourselves in all of our
Yeah,
fullness and beauties and textures and
yeah,
skin tones and styles and authenticities and be original. And that is the biggest thing. I'm saying to
yeah.
myself, wow, like, I don't
If
know.
you
I
can
think,
love on you, then you can allow that to radiate forward.
let me tell you something. My ex-husband used to always tell me, take off those rose-colored glasses because I can see the beauty in everything. I can see the
Yes,
beauty and I can see the beauty in the planet and the universe in my apartment. Like
yeah.
they'd be like, "What are you looking at? You something wrong with your eyes?" I'm like, "Don't you see it?"
Don't you, but you know what? They can't see it. It's about perspective. It really is. And I tell people all the time, I see beauty even in challenges, because I'm going
Hmm.
to learn something in that. I'm going to receive a lesson that's going to prepare me for
Hmm.
the rest of my journey. And
Hmm.
so even in the bad things, even in the experiences, one of my favorite songs of all time is Garth Brooks' song "The Dance." because literally he's talking about, I'm glad, like the chorus, he says, I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go, because our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I would have had to miss the dance. And it's like literally the experiences, the bad stuff that happened, yeah, it hurts, or it feels painful or
But you have
whatever,
to
it's
learn
shocking.
how to listen. You have to
But
let that go. You have to learn
right,
to release that.
you have to go
Release it.
back and look at the
What did you
experience.
learn
What
from
did
it?
you learn? What did you feel? Because sometimes it wasn't even about learning, it was just you needed to experience the extreme joy that happened in that situation. Yeah, it had to abruptly end, but there was joy. There were lessons. There's always something good in those experiences, And so I'm like, that's how I live my life now. I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
there's been some good things and some bad things, but I'm enjoying the entire journey.
Listen, enjoy the journey while you are on your way to your destination.
Exactly. And that's the thing. We think that the ultimate goal is getting to the destination.
And it's not.
No,
It's
it's
enjoying the journey. It's the
the journey.
journey. It is the journey. Wow. Well, Myra, thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Honor,
You.
honor, honor, and respect.
Yes. Yes.
Honor and respect. I'm like, okay. Honor and respect. But thank you so very much. And come back anytime. Just let me
Yes.
know. Say, hey, Jen, what's going on? I'd like to be a guest. Can I schedule something? You
Awesome.
understand?
Awesome.
And
And look, and just know I'm going to be hitting you up because I've got some things coming up too. So
awesome, awesome,
yes.
awesome. We have to, today's my brother's birthday, by the way.
Oh, happy
I
birthday
have
to
four
him.
brothers. I have four brothers, and it's me and my two sisters, and
Oh,
today is his
wow.
birthday.
Happy
Hmm.
birthday to
Happy
him.
birthday! Happy birthday, Joelle!
Yes.
Listen,
Oh my
listen, they all my baby brothers and sisters. I'm still the oldest. They act like they my parents sometimes because
But that's what they do. I have a younger
they're
brother and an older
protective.
sister, and our little
They're
brother,
protective.
he tries to be the big brother all the time. And I'm like, sir, you're taller, not older. Stop.
Mm. I
But
said,
that's
but I think because I'm just like I'm empathetic and very
yeah.
sensitive, and I
Hmm.
didn't know how to be like defend myself, and I had to learn
Yeah.
to courage. I had to learn and find my own voice. I had to
Oh yeah.
learn. Look,
Right.
feel the fear and anxiety. Don't run and take a step forward. Take a step forward. Take a step forward. And I'm like, okay, then this is really good. But
Yeah.
thank you so much, Myra. You
Thank you.
are such a beautiful sister. You are a
Thank you so
beautiful
much.
soul, and you have such wonderful energy. Like, yes.
Thank you
And
so much.
let's stay connected. Let's stay
Yes.
connected. And happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I'll send you
Yes.
a
You
copy.
too.
I'll send you a copy of this as your Christmas gift.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to us being connected and working on some other projects because there's
Listen, 2021 is coming up,
yes.
and it is now God is putting the people in place.
Yes. That's specifically what I've been asking for this year. As well as we're closing out this year, I said, okay, it's all about divine orchestration and divine alignment at this point.
Mhm,
And I was like, send me the people that are like me. We want to see
mhm,
people win
mhm.
because the things that I've been given that I need to do, like I've got to have purpose partners that are like, hey, you know what? Let's go help people win.
Ain't that something? Like, come on now, we can do
Yeah.
this. And you need to be around like minded people.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
saying to myself, okay, then I want the best for me. I want the best for you. And I want the
Right.
best for, I really do want the best for
Yeah.
everyone,
Yeah.
for every single human being,
Yeah.
because I think that that was God's original design.
Mm-hmm.
That was God's original design for human beings, was to draw out the best and
The
to
best.
draw out the
Yeah.
excellence. You understand the
Yeah.
excellence within each and every single person. And I say to myself, like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Some people, it takes time. You just have to know how to approach them and
Mm-hmm.
how to draw out that excellence. But I think that was God's original design for human beings.
Yeah. There's definitely a for all of us, even though we're not part of the original design, there's still a
Hmm.
highest good for each and
Hmm.
every one of us. And usually the difference between reaching that highest good and not is who do you have surrounding you?
And that is the thing.
Yeah.
That is the thing. But it's true because
Yeah.
even when you look at Mother Teresa, when God called Mother Teresa, she was where? In New Mexico somewhere, and I think she
Right.
had like 9 cents in her pocket, maybe two pennies, two copper
Right.
pennies,
Yeah.
and he sent her behind to Calcutta in India.
Right.
Look, so don't, and I say to people, don't despise small beginnings, because
Right.
look at Oprah.
Because everybody has to start
You
somewhere, and it's
understand?
not about where you start. It's literally how you take that journey forward.
Mhm.
Literally how you
If
take it forward.
if you look at successful people, you can rattle off the list of people that you know that are successful. If you look at where they started from,
Mhm. And even some of the ones that start may have started better
mhm,
in a better
mhm,
place than others, but
mhm,
as they went down the journey, because there was something that they needed to learn for
mhm,
the full comeuppance,
mhm.
then it's like, for some people they were on an even kill, and then it was like, and then now they're back, and I tell folks, I'm like, you don't want to be the person caught laughing at somebody on their journey, because whether they
Tell them,
started off small
tell
or
them.
things fell apart somewhere in the middle,
Hmm.
that was all part of the lesson they needed to learn. I said it's the same thing as laughing at the caterpillar that's about to go into the cocoon, and you're like, haha, you see, you're trapped, not realizing that this beautiful butterfly is coming forward from there.
Hmm.
They've got to go in and get all wrapped up, tied up, tangled up. They've got to struggle to make their wings strong. But when they come out, we're all looking, going, "Oh, wow, that's amazing! Wow,
Ain't
that's."
that something? Ain't
But
that
we
something?
laughed when they were stuck in the cocoon. We laughed when they were fighting to break out of the cocoon,
Hmm.
and then we're marveling at the beauty after.
Listen, and that is the metamorphosis. Oh my God, can
Hmm.
I say that?
Yeah.
Metamorphosis and the transformation, and that, like everything in life, takes time.
Yes.
And I'm saying to myself, wow, you
Yeah.
understand? Like, just breathe,
Right. Breathe.
take a step at
Pause
a
when you need
time.
to, one step at a time, just like, yeah. And
Hmm.
and at the end of it all, you get to look back on the journey and go, hmm, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm like that. Ultimately, that's what I want to do is look back on the journey and go, yeah, that's pretty good.
Hmm.
So
Well,
yeah,
sis, it was a pleasure. Keep smiling
yes,
and listen, connect with me after. After.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And let's see what 2021
Is going to bring about. I'm already
Yes.
feeling some things. So just know, look, I'm just like, ooh.
Ooh.
I'm excited. I'm
Positivity,
excited.
positivity, positive, not, no, positivity,
Yes.
positivity, abundant
Positivity.
mindset.
Yes.
That's
Helping
it.
people flow in
Positivity.
their greatness.
Yes. Listen, people say, what you doing, Jennifer? I'm running like hell from poverty. And I want to be the best version of myself that
Right.
I can possibly be. Because when I looked at your prices, and I'm saying to myself, this is good. Because your fees are, what are you investing in? How
Yeah.
are you? And I say to myself, you are investing into you.
Yeah.
And I
And
said,
even, the new program that I'm about to launch, I was like,
mhm,
I'm keeping that, fairly low because I'm like, I understand people need this.
mhm,
People
mhm.
need this,
Well, with the situation right now,
Yeah.
with the pandemic, you have to be gracious.
Right.
You have to be gracious. But then I'm saying to myself, okay, then this is going to last what, another year, year and a half.
Right.
And we all have to help each other and support each other
Hmm.
so that we can come out of this pandemic
Yeah. Come out of
stronger.
it better than we went in.
Look, str- exactly. Exactly.
So
Well,
it's good things are coming, good things are happening. And there are people right now, and I'm speaking this over my business, but I'm speaking it over yours too. There are
and
people
I
right
stand in agreement.
that are coming, that are ready, that know that you are the person that they're supposed to receive from, that they're supposed to co-create their journey to greatness from, and or co-create their journey to greatness with, and they're coming. They're coming.
Mhm.
They're arriving. They're not just coming. They're arriving, and you're
Woo.
ready to receive them.
Yes, I am.
And those are
I
things that I
received
say
that.
every day. I say the people that are assigned to create co-creative and journeys to greatness are on their way. They're arriving. I'm receiving them. I'm ready to receive them. I'm open to receive them. They have their money in hand. I have my accounts open to receive from them. I'm here to download and pour out anything that God has given me to send
Woo.
to them. And we are ready to help them journey to
Mhm.
greatness. That's what
Listen,
we're here to do.
and that is what it is. That is
That
what
is
it
what we're here to,
is.
because if
Awesome.
if we don't tell ourselves that we're ready to receive the money,
Mm,
and
mm.
we don't set ourselves up to be
Woo.
ready to receive the money, then we're telling the energetic flow that we don't want it to go in the direction that it's supposed to. We don't want it to be infinite. We don't want it to be abundant. We don't want it to be a cycle. We're just saying, okay, I'm going to pour out today. I'm going to pour out today, and I'm going to pour out today.
No, it
And
has to be an
it
ebb
has to
and
come, because how are you
woo.
going to refill? Because think about the times when you poured out, and didn't require anything to be received on the other end, and then you got to the point where you were like, oh, I'm just so sick of this right now. And it was
Do
because
you want to know
you
why? Because your
felt,
tank is empty.
yes, just sitting
Ah,
the tea kettle on empty on the fire, and then you're wondering why you have nothing to pour into the teacups. Come
hello,
in there.
girl. Thank you so very much.
Yeah,
Thank you. And
we will be connected. We will be connected. This is
mhm,
another divine orchestration, because I
mhm.
don't even know what group it was I saw you in. So
Wait a minute. We haven't even discussed that yet. Let me just end the broadcast. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
bye, everybody. See y'all soon.